Next up, we have Tyler Costin. He came second and third in the sports category with his basketball groups, but he's also involved in the pickleball school, who came first in sports. So he kind of came first, second, and third in the sports category. Let's welcome Tyler.
So as you heard, my name's Tyler, and before we go any further, I do want to recognize my partners. That's Kyle Kazuda. Kyle, you want to stand up real quick? He is the face and the brains behind that pickleball school. We'll give him some snaps or claps. Beautiful. Kyle and I have a long history, very, very close friends. We haven't stolen money from each other yet. We just kind of give each other money. And I think he's out giving me right now. And this is Jason Flam. Jason, if you want to stand up, wave your hand. Jason does all the marketing for all three of our communities as well. So I want to kind of do this one a little bit different, maybe even than I had intended, because I agree with what Sam said. Like, a lot of the value in this experience is going to be us sharing ideas. And so I'm going to be asking you some different questions throughout this presentation, sharing some of what we do. But I want to give you even more of a structured chance to kind of interact with each other. But we are going to have a rule for this. So I come from a basketball background. I played collegiately, played professionally, coached collegiately, ran camps all across the country, have trained professional basketball players, so I'm a coach. All right, so if I coach you, I apologize. Just drop and give me 10 push-ups. That was a joke, thank you. Okay, so the rule in basketball coaching, so Rick Pitino is a legendary basketball coach, and he had a rule for his assistant coaches in practice. He said the only way that you can talk to players in practice is if you speak in 7-second sound bites. He's like, if you can't say or communicate your thought within 7 seconds, you actually haven't thought about it long enough. And so you're just like verbally working through your thought. So when I ask you to share something with someone near you or with someone around you, as we continue to try to mix it up here, try to articulate it in 7 seconds or less. It's going to be a challenge. We'll have fun, but we have limited time here, so we can't be talking a whole lot. So I want to start with this thought. So you can see up above here, we have these three communities. We have that pickleball school. I've got my coaching community where I coach coaches, and that is Savvy Coaching. And then I have my athlete community for basketball where I coach athletes, and that's our Savvy Academy. So those are our three communities, and we've really applied the same playbook to all three. And it all really starts with what Sam said about passion, is it starts with your why. So I'll share a little bit of my why through my journey. So like I said, I'm a basketball coach, and Kyle and I actually met on a basketball court. We ran basketball camps together for over 10 years all across the country. And my basketball journey actually informs my entrepreneurial journey and why we built this school community. So as an 8th grader, I love basketball. I want to be a professional basketball player. Did anybody else dream of being a professional athlete at any point? Okay, nice. I mean, it's a childhood dream, right? So I want to be a professional basketball player. And my 8th grade basketball coach at the end of the season said, Tyler, you're never going to even make varsity. You should probably give up on your dream. Which broke my heart, right? And I'm like, oh man, like, you're supposed to be my coach. You're supposed to be telling me how to achieve my dream. Like, why are you telling me this? But that just caused me to commit to my journey even further, to do everything I absolutely could. As a sophomore in high school, I got pretty good. And our head coach told me, Tyler, you've gotten better, but you'll never be a starter. You'll probably just be a backup your entire career. I was like, oh man, I've been doing all this work. And so I transferred schools, and I went to another high school and ended up winning a state championship and being one of the best players in the state. And at the end of my high school career, the college coaches I wanted to play for told me, Tyler, you'll just never be a Division I basketball player. You're not athletic enough. Right? And so I kind of battled, and I worked my way up through different colleges to eventually to get to a really good place. But through my college career, every single practice, instead of being like the best part of my day, was the worst part of my day. Because I feel like basketball for me was my creative outlet. It's how I got into a flow state. And like when I was in that pocket, like everything felt good. I'm sure you feel that way about your passion. In fact, if you've ever been in a flow state in your passion, just raise your hand for me real quick. Yes, like that's what juices us up, right? And I felt like my coaches were always providing barriers to that feeling as opposed to providing access to that feeling. And in fact, all of my basketball experiences, my organized team experiences where I won state championships and competed for national championships, they were like the most frustrating and debilitating experiences that left me angry. Whereas like when I just got to go play pickup basketball in the parks or in open gyms, those are the most fulfilling ones. And so as I got out of playing and got into coaching and coached college basketball, my commitment and my passion was to be the opposite of every coach that I had. And so that led to the passion of me first coaching athletes for nearly 15 years, as I got to take over 30,000 athletes through camp and educational experiences, because I wanted to be the coach that I never had. And week after week, I'd have 120 to 180 athletes that would be sitting like this, and I get to teach them, and I would be trying to encourage them and teach them how to achieve their dreams, as opposed to telling them why they would never achieve their dreams. And then that parlayed into, okay, I don't want to just coach the athletes, I want to coach the coaches. And so my passion and my why for Savvy Coaching is I want to revolutionize how the game is taught and played, so it can provide access to that creativity and flow state and be the best part of young people's day and not the worst. And so that's my why, and that was a lot longer than 7 seconds, but you can tell, I hope, that I've deeply thought about it. And so I just communicate that over and over and over again, and then it attracts like-minded coaches or like-minded players. And we can talk even more about the pickleball school one as well. But I think that the number one thing that I want to share that I believe has led to some success and people joining our communities is people know how to find their people. And when you access your why and you communicate your why and you're vulnerable and you share your successes like both of the other presenters already have and your failures, that's what actually gives you grit. And grit's a term, and there's a really good book by Angela Duckworth as well. I'm sure many of you have read it. But one aspect of grit that I would just encourage each of you to maybe lean into a little bit more, because I think we really lean into it, and I'll celebrate my partner Kyle in this, is grit. When you go through tough things and you get scars and you get some rough edges and you get some nicks taken out of you, that provides texture to who you are. And when you share those, that texture, it provides something for your community or those people with you to hold on to when things get slippery, when things get tough. And so one thing, Kyle's entire journey into pickleball was he left basketball and he publicly shared he's gonna go from having never played pickleball before to being a pro in 15 months. That's his whole journey. And that's how we can clap for that, right? Because except that he failed. No, I'm just joking. He achieved it, right? He achieved it, right? And so, he just documented the whole journey publicly. And we were talking the other day, I don't remember exactly the timeline, but at one point he had 500 followers early on the journey. And now he has hundreds of thousands of followers all across his platforms just by being vulnerable, sharing his why and his mission. He's like, I did it, and I want to teach you how to do it too. Which is what we're hearing over and over and over again. And so when we talk about these 3 communities in one playbook, it's just being really, really open and vulnerable about the why so people can find their people. And we provide all this value, you have courses, you have coaching, all the things that they get. Yeah, I don't think that's really what make people come or what make people stay. I think they come and they stay because they deeply connect with a why. And so the more that we can all lean into that, I think we're all going to get what we really want out of this, which is impact, right? A more deep impact for more people all across the board. So let's talk a little bit more about this. My background is in coaching. So as I was thinking about this, I'm like, okay, what can my maybe unique experiences? We have so much wonderful experience across so many different, communities and different areas. What can my unique experience add value to these really successful people here? And my background is in coaching. And so I just want to share 3 questions in coaching that any player will ask themselves before they follow a coach. I think any participant in your community, if you think about your community as a team, and you're the head coach of your team, and you're going to win, whatever winning means to you, I think everyone's going to continually ask themselves these 3 questions. Do you care about me? Can you help me? And can I trust you? Right? Do you care about me? Can you help me? And can I trust you? And so I'm just going to pause for a moment. We're going to get our second 7-second soundbite right here, because one of my favorite poets has a line, and he says this. He says, thoughts untangle themselves when they pass through lips and fingertips. Right? When we speak our thoughts or write them, as many of you are, we get more clarity. So that's why we provide these little opportunities here. So here's the 7-second soundbite. If you can turn to someone else in your area and just answer this. Of these 3 questions, which one of these do you feel most confident that your community would say yes? All right, I'm going to say 3. You'll echo 3, we'll clap twice, and then you'll share your answer with somebody new. Which one of these 3 do you think you have the greatest opportunity for growth as a leader or as a head coach of your team? I'll try to give you a couple of really actionable and specific tools that maybe you can apply to this and translate from my context, which is coaching basketball or now coaching pickleball, to your context, which is coaching whatever it is that you coach. 2 specific things I think that we do really well in the do you care about me standpoint. I was recently running a training session, a basketball training session. I was working with this aspiring college athlete. It was a small group training. They did really well. It was their first time training with me, and at the end we do a little recap, a debrief. We call it an autopsy. We do an autopsy to identify what did we actually get better at. And I mean, I was giving this player amazing things on their shot, on their technique. We got them more explosive. They learned a whole new move. And I'm like, man, I really helped this player. And so at the end, we're doing the autopsy. The girl's name is Macy. I said, Macy, what was the thing that you got out of this training session? She's like, when you told me you thought that I was good. I'm like, what? I just completely transformed your shot. I just said, I think you're good, and that's what you remember, right? And then like she's leaving with it. And so like the do you care about me piece, what I've found is like players remember what you celebrate, not what you correct. And I think it's the same with people as well. And one thing that I think that we have brought into the culture of our communities really well is a culture of celebration. Like we've talked about it with like wins, but like if we do a live training, we start off with celebrations where we'll celebrate individuals, they'll celebrate their progress. Whenever someone asks a question, we'll celebrate the depth of the question. We'll celebrate their courage for posting the question. And so I think that really shows care is by starting with celebration. And so a recent study showed that if someone in their life receives 3 to 1, like positives to negative in their life, like 3 positives to 1 negative, they're actually clinically depressed. And so we set like a target for our communities of a 6 to 1 ratio. Like we wanted to give 6 pieces of celebration before we give 1 piece of coaching or correction. So that would be just one specific way maybe that you could implement in your own context how you can make people feel like you care about them a little bit more. Okay, here's the second one. And again, this comes from coaching, and over 2 decades in coaching, I've found that this communicates care very deeply. And it's this statement, if you are taking notes, you might want to write it down, otherwise you can just lock it in. I see in you. I see in you. I see in you an incredible entrepreneur. I see in you a powerful leader. I see in you an excellent musician, or whatever it is, like speaking to the future self of people. As opposed to when you look at where someone's at right now, what we normally see are what? Deficiencies, like, right? Like opportunities. But the future is full of opportunity. Right? So I think I see in you in speaking to the future self, like when you spend a year with me, when you spend a year with Kyle, when you spend a year with us, at the end of this 30-day challenge, I'm going to see you as a 4.0 player, which is a level in pickleball, right? So instead of speaking to where they're at, speak to their future selves, and that just shows a lot of care for them as well. My dad is a professional golfer. He played on the PGA Tour for many, many years, majors, et cetera, has his own golf academy. I've had the opportunity to, like I said, be around him a ton. And what's continually amazed me about my dad, who's never had a job, has never worked for anybody in his life, like he's an entrepreneur in the sports space, is anytime we're at a golf course and we're walking up and down a range. Anybody in here golf? Yeah, I'm a recovering golfer, so respect. I switched to pickleball, and that's my father won't talk to me anymore. But whenever my dad walks, Kyle's laughing because it's true, okay? Anytime my dad walks up and down a golf range, he cannot help himself. He sees someone and goes up to them and says, I can help you. He can't help himself because he has such a deep belief that he knows that what he has can help. He's not selling. He's just like, oh, I can make them so much better, right? And I think like that's the authenticity of, I think what we're doing is like we're building this because we believe it can help people. So we don't have to sell them. We don't have to convince them. Like we just actually do it, right? I can help you with that. And another thing that we do a lot in coaching is, and it's what our mission is, to revolutionize coaching. I'll share a quick story. I run, you saw one of the communities, the academy there. I just built that locally in Phoenix for players. My daughter's got into basketball, and so we moved that into school as well. So we were at a local youth basketball tournament recently, and there was a group of 8th grade boys. An 8th grade boys team just came off the court, and they lost. They lost a close game. And the head coach put them right behind the bench against the wall and then just started screaming at them, telling them how they don't want it, how soft they were, how embarrassed their entire family should be, how they should think about quitting the sport, just like screaming expletives in front of like family and friends, just embarrassing these young boys. Right? And then he said, bring it in, family. Right? And they broke it out. Right? It was crazy. And I'm like, oh, like that is why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's coaching. Like that's what I really hate about coaching is it's yelling and telling. It's like a drill sergeant, right? It's like do this or else. It's fear. It's shame is like the common motivators. And so one of the things that we're on a mission with Savvy is to revolutionize the way the game is taught and played by actually not leading with yelling and telling, but instead by leading with questions. And I think that would be like the second tool that would be an opportunity for can I help you? A lot of times we'll go into like a webinar or a live training or we'll provide a course or a resource and we'll be like, here, let me tell you how to do it. And one thing that I think that we've implemented fairly well and want to lean into even further is actually starting with questions. You know, like, so whether it be in our posts, whether it be in our webinars or whatnot, like, how can I help you? What are you struggling with right now? And that's how people feel really seen and connected. So that'd be the other idea about the second one there. Let's just jump to the third, move quickly. Can I trust you? And what we found in coaching is that trust is directly related to culture. All right, so trust is related to culture. And culture is how people on a team or in a community interact with each other. And if we don't establish and hold high standards on a team, then the culture becomes toxic. Well, if we're looking at all of our school communities as a team, every one of the communities represented in this room has a culture. And it's probably unique to you. But my question would be, and we'll go ahead and do this with a response for the last time here, is what would be one standard of your culture in your community? And my good friend, he's a college head coach, his name's TJ Rosine. Kyle knows him really well also. He says that the hardest part of being a leader or a coach is actually holding your standards. So on his desk, he's got a plaque to remind him. It says, fight for your culture every day. And my question to you that I'll ask you to share here in a moment is, what standard of the culture in your community are you willing to go in there and fight for every single day? How people act, how they talk, what they talk about, how they interact with you, all those things. Anybody, raise your hand if you're familiar with Duke University. They have a basketball team, Duke. They were recently in the Final Four. Okay, so it's a very well-established, well-respected program, one of the best in the basketball world. A number of years ago, there was a legendary basketball coach, Coach K, Coach Krzyzewski, who led Duke University for many, many years and established it as like the penultimate school for basketball. So I got to actually go and watch him coach in one of his later years. So I went into the gym. And I showed up about 20 minutes early. And one of the Duke managers met me outside the gym. And he said, come on in. And I walked in, and then there were these curtains before you went down into the gym. And it said, closed practice, Duke basketball. And as I walked up to the curtain, 20 minutes before practice started, I just had like noise hit me coming through the curtain. Like there was clapping and cheering and like the squeaking of shoes on the floor. And I paused, I'm like, am I late? Like I thought I was early. Has it already started? And the manager said, no, it hasn't started. The coaches aren't on the floor yet. And so I walk in and I go kind of sit down. He hands me a practice plan. And every player on the Duke basketball team was on the floor in a full sweat, self-organized by their positions, training, sweating, encouraging each other, giving great focused intent and effort. And that was when I knew something special was going on here. Like the gym was popping. And many of my coaching mentors throughout the years, like when I was running a gym or running a practice, they said, I can know within the first minute if you're a good coach because I walk into your environment and there's standards, it's popping, there's intent, there's focus. And so we have attempted to have that same immediate feel test, like when someone opens up our community, right? Like what's the level of engagement, right? Like how quickly can our lead trainers or community managers respond, right? Like how quickly are they responding to each other? What's it feel like to be a part of your community? And I would just encourage you, like that should be associated. If you don't have a standard that describes what it feels like to be in your community, that might be an opportunity for you as well. And that's how you know that they can trust you. They can trust you to hold the standard, right? If you let so-and-so show up late to a team and so-and-so to take bad shots on a team, right? Then you lose trust with the people that you're leading. But when you hold a high standard, that's how you build trust, even if it hurts in a moment. And so we are committed to be highly relational with people. We know people's names. We know their stories. When we jump on a live training or a webinar, like the first 8 to 10 minutes is like asking people about their personal lives and whatnot. So I think it's very highly, highly relational. We hold as a team weekly mapping sessions where we map out what the flow of content's gonna be for the week and the month and the quarter. And we touch in on that every single week. And then we just build in public, like we share with our community, here's what we did. We were in a co-working space just this week and we just recorded a quick video right from that co-working space. Like, hey, we're working right now on your next content. Here's what's coming, and they all weighed in on it. And they're like, thank you so much for working hard for us, right? So just letting them know what's coming. We do have a designated community manager who's next on the line for the community to make sure that every question gets answered and everyone gets responded to and every reply gets replied to as well. So people feel very, very, very seen. And then lastly, I already kind of shared about this, like our standards, we've attempted to create sticky language around it. And that language then informs the culture. And like we know that we have a strong culture in the community when the members are using our unique language to talk to each other. So for example, we created something in the pickleball school called the TPS shot scale, how to rate the decision making on a certain shot in pickleball. And so now when members are talking to each other, they're saying, that's a 5 on the shot scale. And when they're using our language with each other, that's when we know we've established a culture. And so my question to you is like, okay, what's your unique and sticky language? How can they talk to each other that way? So then when our pickleball school members are out at a pickleball tournament, they're meeting up and they're being like, don't hit 5s, and it creates a culture as opposed to saying the same thing that everyone else in the industry is saying. This is how I, as a coach, would approach going to a coaching clinic. So in coach development, there's these coaching clinics, you listen to a whole bunch of presenters, kind of like we're doing here, and then you have like a whole notebook full of notes, and then you go home and don't do anything different. Okay, that's how it works for most coaches. And I don't want that to happen for me from this experience, and this is the tool that I've used. It's called +1. It's called +1. So instead of trying to implement everything, instead, we just try to implement one thing and then scaffold it. But we make sure we measure it. Let me tell you a quick story to kind of hammer this home. So I've got a 9-year-old daughter. Her name is Charlie. She wants to be an amazing basketball player. Part of our morning routine is we do push-ups. And so for 3 months, every morning she would go and do her 10 push-ups. Every morning for 3 months. Pretty good job for a 9-year-old. I don't know how many of us could do 10 push-ups in a row right now. We won't test it. But then one day she came down to do her push-ups and I had a whiteboard up. And after she did her 10 push-ups, I just wrote the number 10 on the whiteboard. She's like, Dad, why did you do that? I said, well, that's how many push-ups you did. Next morning she comes down, she sees the number 10. Anybody care to guess how many push-ups she did? 11, exactly, right? You get it. So I wiped 10, I wrote 11. Guess what she did the next morning? 12. She actually did 13 because she's an overachiever, right? But once we started measuring it, instant growth. When we just checked the box, yes or no, right, it stayed the same. And so I would say from an implementation standpoint coming out of this is like, okay, +1, what's one thing that you can measure a little bit better frequently so that you actually see improvement? So we don't just leave with ideas and no execution, because that's what happens a lot in basketball. If you want to talk to me or Kyle or Jason, we'd love it. I'm looking forward to learning from each and every one of you. Thank you so much to the school team for putting this on, and thanks for listening.